Hey guys, Harth here again, and I managed to get a group for End Time, which is the first of the three 5-mans being added in patch 4.3. And the lore behind this place is that it's in the Caverns of Time, first of all, I guess I should say, which I guess really explains a lot about the lore behind it. But as far as I'm aware, this is, as you can see, the aspect of time. Nosdormu is here. Please ignore all these LUA errors. It's what I get for using add-ons in the PTR. But Nosdormu is showing us being the adventurers. What would happen should Deathwing win? Should we not be successful in defeating him, this is potentially what could happen. And I believe I believe you'll be fighting 2 of 4 potential bosses, which are echoes of lore figures that we all love. Baine Bloodhoof, Sylvanas, Windrunner, Jaina Proudmoore. Who's the other one? Oh god. There's one more. Who it is, I can't remember. I'm gonna have to look this up. This is becoming a disaster already. Anyway, it's not that important right now. I'm just going through the first few trash mobs. They're nothing really impressive. They're not difficult at all. You can pretty much just AoE them. Really. Of course, it's not to say that they won't be buffed. And I should clarify that Tyrande Whisperwind was the figure that I'm forgetting. I should say that you have to understand this video does not represent difficulty. It doesn't represent the final difficulty of these dungeons. This is a PTR, first of all, so it probably will change. Probably a couple of times over the course of the PTR. And furthermore, all of us are overgeared for this. I believe all of us are like in tier 12 gear. Or potentially better. And, you know, because of that, just keep that in mind. I mean, even then, we wiped a few times. There are a couple of trash mobs later on that they will mess you up if you're not prepared for them. Those are located in the Obsidian Dragon Shrine, and we'll get to those in a moment. So, as you can tell, each of the bosses are located in one of the Dragon Shrines in Dragonblight. Sylvanas is located here in the Ruby Dragon Shrine. I don't know if that'll change. Like, I don't know if you can even go to the Emerald Dragon Shrine. I'm assuming you can. But, I don't know. We ended up with Lady Sylvanas and Baine Bloodhoof. Baine Bloodhoof is a really interesting fight. So, at this point we're just sitting here. None of us are... I don't think any of us had done this dungeon before. I haven't. I know the tank hadn't. Our shaman wasn't even participating. So we pull the Echo of Sylvanas. She casts a lot of, just random targeted arrows at people. She also does that thing. It's your usual stay out of the fire. It's not fire, but, stay out of it. This was a really simple fight overall. There's, one gimmick to it, which you'll see coming up shortly, which she'll do several times over the course of the fight. Right here. She'll teleport to the middle, and then become immune to damage, and then she will pull all of us to her, and all of these ghouls will spawn around the edge and start walking towards her. So you have to kill one of them so you can escape before you get fucked up. So here we are. None of us realized at first that's what we needed to do, so we managed to down it, and then we managed to escape to freedom. The rest of the ghouls will go in, they'll die. She'll cast that, and you can start damaging her again. So, overall, it's a pretty simple fight. It's not that difficult. I don't want to say it was the easiest fight, because honestly, the last boss was probably easier. Although that's a completely another story, and that's just a weird fight overall. So I'll get to that when, when the time comes. But here she goes again. She becomes immune. I think she does this once more over the course of this fight as well. This time we managed to pull it off much smoother. And we see what we're supposed to do, so we get on the school and start attacking it. And yes, for those of you who have been following me, I know I usually play a hunter. I'm playing an arcane mage because I'm a PvE scrub, and I just wanted a one-button rotation. Yes, I know arcane mage is a bit more complicated than a one-button rotation, but still. I like mages. They're fun. So, see, she, floated up and then fired a random arrow at I think our healer. Or maybe that was a ground-targeted ability, I'm not sure. But, this is a pretty easy fight as long as you have a competent healer who can deal with a little bit of AoE damage. I don't know how hard the tank was getting hit for, but it didn't seem like it was that much. And as long as you can stay out of the fire and do this mechanic, it's fine. It reminds me, it's kind of like a combination of the first boss of the Forge of Souls and, the first boss of Blackrock Caverns. Because you have this, really tight space that closes around the boss, and you have to kill something to get out. It's a bit of an interesting mechanic. I like it, to be honest. So, she ended up, doing that a third time, and then she drops. She dropped the Windrunner's bow. Pretty nice stats on it. If you want to take a closer look at the stats, you can pause the video, and there's the model for it. I'm not sure if that's new. I'm not sure if that's new to this patch or not, or if that's a reused model. But we're going to head over now to the Obsidian Dragon Shrine, and we had several wipes here, and I'll explain why on the way. So in the Obsidian Dragon Shrine, there are these trash mobs called Flame Seers, I believe. Time-Twisted Seers. Time-Twisted Seers. They cast this spell that I'm not actually sure what it does. I'm not even sure if this is the cause of it, but it was messing us up pretty bad. We had several wipes before this point. We realized that the big drakes, we believe, are immune to taunt, and that caused us a couple of issues as well. Our first wipe was me being stupid and running into another pack of mobs. But we had a good group, and we were willing to trial and error it, so we decided we were going to focus down the Seers. So, we focused down the Seers. Seer Flesh is the spell I'm referring to. I'm not exactly sure what it does, or if it's even the cause of our problems, but it was messing us up. It was messing us up pretty bad. So it's something you want to avoid. It's interruptible, so pretty much every group nowadays should have one or two interrupts at hand. And if you have good DPS, you should be able to focus them down before they can get one off if you interrupt the first one. Or not, actually. They cast that more often than I realized. So we ended up wiping there. We realized, we need to interrupt that. So we ended up successfully pulling that, and then we could, just get this Drake and burst him down pretty easy. And the rest of the trash here is avoidable because you can just walk down here, and at this point you'll have to actually jump into the lava. It's the one thing you should never do. I'm not sure if this is actually true, but at the end of this boss fight, our healer noticed something important. When you're running through this lava, don't jump through it. because like that takes you out of the lava and puts you back in it, so it increases. So you get this debuff, this magma debuff that increases the amount of damage you take from the lava. So don't jump through it. Swim through it, or blink through it if you can. Blink is a little buggy with it right now, by the way. Just don't jump through it. So here's the Echo of Baine, and this was a really interesting fight. I was unsure here if I needed to get on that platform or not, which it turned out to actually be a mistake. We found the best way to do this is to split your range DPS up onto the 3 platforms, and you'll see why in a moment. So Baine will throw his Bloodhoof Totem at people, and I believe you can use it to stun him for a few seconds. And then he casts this spell called Pulverize, which shatters the platform you're standing on. So you can see me jumping through the lava, taking a lot of damage. I managed to blink, and see, he threw the totem at me right there. I didn't realize at this point that I could use it to stun him. So at this point we've pretty much wiped. He comes for me, I ice block. He goes back for the paladin. And it was the first try, it was a wipe, and we came up with a better strategy second time around. And the totem also knocks you back. Of course, then he casts Pulverize on me and kills me. So here we go, into the kill attempt. You can see in the chat box me complaining about how Blink is a little bit buggy with the lava, so I can't easy mode my way through it. But we're just DPSing him down. And he'll cast Pulverize here, shatter the one I'm standing on. You just need to, don't jump, just swim. Just swim to another platform, keep damaging it, and with enough DPS he should go down before you end up, losing platforms. This was a really interesting mechanic. I'm trying to recall any similar fights, and I mean, it's not the most unique mechanic, but it works for this fight. It really does work for this fight. It's not the hardest fight out there, but I mean, it's not easy. It's really a DPS race more than anything. And he dropped the Dragon Shrine Scepter, which was a strength mace, one-handed strength mace. Pretty nice model. But, that's essentially a DPS race. It's all that is. It's a gear check, if you will. You just need to have enough DPS to get him down before you run out of platforms. Which, I mean, I don't think it would be too much of a problem, because as long as, you can get him down before all 4 platforms are destroyed. And I guess if it really came down to you having 1 platform left, it would come down to you, making sure everyone was in a position close enough to run to that last platform before the lava killed them. It's not too hard, but this right here is the most interesting fight, lore-wise, in my opinion. Ignore the chat, we were just talking about strategy for Baine. So you move to the Bronze Dragon Shrine after you beat the 2 bosses, and you see this huge hourglass of time, and this this infinite dragonflight dragon. What's the name of the dragon? I'm gonna have to look that one up. No, it'll be here in a second. It's like an anagram of Nosdormu. I don't remember his actual name though. But he's in like an alternate time version of the Bronze Dragon aspect, who is also the leader of the Infinite Dragonflight, interestingly enough. So, this fight is really, really, really trippy. That's all I can say about it. It's really, 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 really trippy, and I really enjoyed it. Like, this is the kind of content that actually makes me interested in PvE again. I'm gonna say this right now, it's not hard. It wasn't hard for us, but again, we are, like, really overgearing this instance. But, I mean, the fight isn't that hard to begin with. So there he is. You'll see we have this huge hourglass of time over here. And that plays an important role in this fight. So, we're sitting here wondering, you know, just kind of, should we just go for it? So yeah, we just decided to go for it. Murazond is his name. So we pull him, and we cast Bloodlust because we replaced our hunter with another shaman. He casts that thing, get out of it. That's just your standard fare, you know, stay out of things on the ground. He does this AoE thing, this AoE Temporal Blast. Doesn't do too much damage, you know, standard AoE fare. He casts that a lot, so, you know, be on your toes. He casts Temporal Blast fairly often as well. He has a Flame Breath. And then someone clicked the Hourglass. We now have this awesome Bloodlust effect. You can see my Arcane Blast is down to 0.3 second cast time, which is ridiculous. Every time you click the Hourglass, you get this awesome Bloodlust-like effect that I believe also resets your cooldowns, which is insane, I might add. And here we are, we used it again. It resets all your cooldowns, which I happen to notice in a moment. And I learned that there's no cap on the amount of mirror images that a mage can have up, as long as you can actually cast the spell. So I believe for a second I may have actually been hovering on 9 mirror images. I may have stopped at 6, I'm not sure. I cast it again, so now I have 6. Which is pretty ridiculous. It doesn't last long, though. So by the time I did it, the original 3 were ready to disappear. But this fight isn't that hard, but it's just really interesting because that's a mechanic that's never been used before. And it's fitting. You know, it's not a difficult fight, but it's really fitting for, like, the leader of the Infinite Dragonflight. And it's a really cool fight overall. This is the kind of thing that gets me interested in PvE content again, even though it is just a 5-man. And if the other 2 are of this quality, then Blizzard has, you know, really shown why they actually own the best MMORPG out there. So we downed him. He dropped 2 pieces of gear, and I believe one was a trinket, and one was a plate helm. There you can see the model of the plate helm. Of course, I'm a troll, so it's not that, like, it's not the best model to show it off on. And the other one's a trinket, so I can't exactly show you the model of it. But that was in time. It was a fairly nice dungeon. I liked it. So, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.